Hello, my name is Phyllis. I peeled the cassava. After peeling the cassava, I washed it. After washing it, put it on one of the carveras to dry it up for grating. Now I am going to grate it to be able to put it in a...
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Mindset Spot. Today, we're going to be discussing innovative volunteerism and youth climate preneurship. But before then, let's put things in perspective. The realities of climate change are with us today. The harsh disasters we see worldwide, from flooding, landslides, hurricanes, and many more, distressing the entire planet, are testament to the changing climate. In 2020 alone, climate change in those disasters cost the global economy $210 billion. But this distress will only escalate and will continue to disproportionately impact people who experience social, who experience structural and systemic inequities and marginalization. Today, the latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the latest science, concludes that the world would likely breach the safe 1.5 degree warming threshold in just 2 decades from today. When you juxtapose these results with the findings in the African region, we see the reality of the changing climate. That Africa is warming as twice as the rest of the world, and this is leading to the escalation of socio-economic misery, which is already at breaking point. This portends more bad news for the region. More bad news for the region's food security, where we have 257 million people go to bed hungry. More bad news to children, where we have over 60 million children who are malnourished. More bad news to youth who are unemployed, with 12 to 15 million of them getting into the labor market each and every year. These youth, as we know, are up to 60% of the population and are projected to face the most significant expansion of its working age population that will reach 450 more people in just 10 years from today. But the negative narrative of calamity, doom and gloom that are the mainstay of climate change are causing more harm beyond the physical. It is causing emotional wounds in people's minds, especially the young people. A study shows a rise in climate anxiety, which is becoming a medical condition that drives apathy towards life, especially among young people who see no hope. What urgently needs to happen is that the narrative of climate change, the narrative of climate action, needs to be recalibrated to divest from projecting liability to project opportunities for enterprise and socio-economic progress that can be tapped by young people. It needs to start projecting the income, enterprise, and business opportunities on diverse levels that actions to combat climate change can present to energize and inspire young people to start seeing themselves as solution providers, to start seeing themselves as solution providers, not as victims. Just as this African proverb goes, every adversity carries with it the seeds of equal or greater benefit. So are the opportunities that lie in the risks that are posed by the changing climate in the entire world and in the African continent. We therefore need a visionary approach that can turn challenges into opportunities. And climate preneurship is how we can unlock these opportunities. It is about looking beyond the turmoil of risk that climate change presents and focusing on selflessly devising solutions to turn the climate challenges into opportunities, using what we have, not what we hope to have. It's about co-creating competitive climate action solutions to the challenges we face. It's about understanding the needs of society and working with them to address them. It's about being selfless enough to focus on what we can be able to leverage to turn these challenges to opportunities. It's about retooling our skills and leveraging on talents and our social backgrounds with a clear goal of turning climate change in those challenges to opportunity. This is the logic behind what we call innovative volunteerism. Innovative volunteerism, an approach founded on a very simple idea, which is to use what you have to get what you don't have. Use what you have, your abilities, your skills, your talents, your ongoing work, not what we hope to get. but retooling our skills to continuously improve and refine towards devising and seizing these opportunities that climate change presents today. Today, I'm joined by an active, vibrant, passionate, innovative volunteer, Mr. David Luganda. And he has shown that we can leverage on our opportunities to be able to turn challenges into opportunities. Turn challenges into opportunities. We leverage on our skills to turn challenges into opportunities. And today, this discussion will showcase practically what has been happening and how this innovative volunteerism actor has leveraged his skills to turn these challenges into opportunities. With me now is David. David, welcome to this Mindset Sport, where we discuss innovative volunteerism solutions. How are you today? How are you doing, David? Can you hear me?
I'm fine. How are you, Doctor?
No, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's a great pleasure to have you on the Mindset Sport to discuss solutions that can help address the challenges of climate change that we're facing today. So our viewers who are watching in today and those who are watching, please, as we interact with David and discuss these solutions, please drop your comments, drop your ideas, so that at least we can be able to answer any question that you have during this 1 hour or so. So, David, people who are watching you today might not understand exactly what innovative volunteerism means. So what would you tell a layperson out there what innovative volunteerism means based on your own experience of how you have leveraged it to execute the solution approaches?
Oh, thank you so much, my mentor, Dr. Richard Munang. My name is David Luganda, and I'm one of the innovative volunteerism actors in Africa, and I'm in Uganda. My experience and how I understand innovative volunteerism is that I've gained through the experience I've been passing through with other youth whom I've been mentoring also in Uganda and also in other countries. Starting with the area where I come from and where I work from, mainly there's been a number of challenges, climatic challenges affecting the smallholder farmers, affecting the women. So this gave me the urge so that I can start innovating. Innovating is not only in ICT, but also bringing ideas on table. I brought myself on the table so that I can help the mothers in the village to dry their food using solar dryers. And these solar dryers are locally made by the youth under the Africa Youth Agro-Industrialization Academy. In short, it's AYA Academy, which was formed under Ebafosa, Uganda. So I myself, understanding innovative volunteerism, I brought myself to the table, and though no one invited me, I saw the challenge and I said I have to invite myself to the women so that we can reduce the post-harvest losses of cassava vegetables in Uganda. And this is leveraging on the existing structures of Buganda Kingdom and CBS Pewosa Cooperative.
Excellent. We are going to get to that, David. I mean, you said that you avail yourself, and I think that's a very important word that you've used. You avail yourself. You brought yourself to the table. You do not wait for the table to be brought to you. And this is a very important aspect that we're going to focus on today, because a lot of people who sit out there think that a table is going to be brought to them. No, it doesn't work that way. Let's just listen to this, and then I'll get back to you.
My name is David Luganda, and I'm the team leader of Ebafosa, Uganda. What we are doing now, we are harvesting vegetables, and if you see these farmers, what they are doing, they were given nakati, sukuma wiki, eggplants, and also after mapping, seeing their challenges they have been facing, they have told us they have a challenge of markets. And we found out that they can't, whenever they sell these vegetables fresh, they find a challenge. They fetch little money from them, and yet they have put a lot of energy. Today we have brought a solar dryer to this group. This is Sugu Women Group. And the farmers, we are going to train them how to add value on vegetables. The value I'm talking about is we are going to boil them, put them under solar dryer. After putting them under solar dryer, we are going to pack them. We are going to pound them, and we pack them for the supermarket for these people who are in town who can't have small gardens to do agriculture. This is what the Bafasa is doing to these communities. You are reaching the rural women, supporting them to do this agriculture.
Excellent. Supporting the rural women with climate action solutions of solar dryers to be able to reduce their post-harvest losses. And going back to the point you made, that you avail yourself to be able to learn a skill and then devise a solution. And we've just heard from that video you explaining how the women in the community are harvesting what they're harvesting and using that solar dryer. For someone who is listening out there, and I know that a lot of young people are listening out there, and this might be sounding like magic. What did it take for you to be able to muster the courage to do what you did to then arrive at this community? Maybe just briefly, so that at least I want people to get the context, because this is part of the effort that was put in. It did not just happen.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Actually, through structural guidance, through the Innovative Volunteerism Spirit, Innovative Volunteerism Hub from Bafosa, Uganda, they have been mentoring us so that we survey, we find challenges so that we can provide climate action solutions to these women. So through Innovative Volunteerism, I engaged myself into research, reading a lot, go to YouTube, find videos, and also asking my mentors, reading, so that to see how we can develop this agro-value chain. And we saw that these farmers are lacking market, yet they are having food available in their gardens, and they're not drying it. So they were consuming the food which they were consuming was not good for their health. So inside my heart, I saw that I need to do something by myself, and also with the team. Remember, when you are doing innovative volunteerism work, you don't work in silos. You have to work with the team. You have to involve other people so that they understand, and also they can scale up such a solution to their communities. When you help a mother in the village, remember you're also helping another future generation. Helping one mother, it will multiply and multiply. And also being an innovative volunteerism actor, working with the team, this enables these ideas to be scaled up to other communities. So it's through research, listening to guidance, mentorship, and also seeing the existing challenges so that I can provide the solutions. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Richard.
You've said it so well. It's about guidance. It's about listening to advice to make a difference. Before I come back to you, let me just play this.
So they can start getting some income in order to increase their saving. The other reasons for this is to improve their livelihoods, increase on their saving, and also make sure that they stop using the firewood and the charcoal, and also turn to using briquettes. Because briquettes are smoke-free, they are quick at burning, they take long, over 4 hours, and we have tried out on their sigit, which is a charcoal stove, to boil the porridge, which is used as water, and also boil the beans to see the longevity of the briquettes which are made by Bafosa Uganda and African Farmers Media Center. Thanks for this group, and we are collaborating with CBS Pewosa Cooperative, and that's why we are in this Village Selling Alongs Association trying to make income generating activities for them. And one of them, the briquettes which are trained the urban groups. And for the rural groups, we go into value additions and also EBA, which is ecosystem-based adaptation approaches, so that they can increase on their savings. Thank you very much.
Secretary Peter, Technical Advisor Bafosa Uganda. We are still here at Gomba, training this is our last training, and we are training briquettes. It's our third day.
David, if you avail yourself and you learned a skill, and out of that you have learned how to develop solar dryers, and you're working with a team of young people. And on this video clip, it shows how you have actually gone ahead and you're training other people in the community. So somebody listening could ask, is it just devising these solutions and getting them down to the community to solve their problem, or are you getting any revenue out of this? And if so, how do you do that?
Thank you so much, Doctor. Actually, I would want to put this in perspective. The world has changed, and Africa has to change, but we have to change in the way which we shall be sustainable in our communities, in our homes, and also our economy to be sustainable. Right now, through innovative volunteerism spirit, we are enabling cooperatives, we are enabling Village Savings Alongs Association, women groups which are saving. We are training them to be sustainable, so that we are not only giving them machines, we are not only giving them free trainings, but after training them, they have to be paying a monthly fee so that they can recoup back the money for the machines you have seen in the video. So we are not, in the first we tried it, giving out free things, but they didn't work. So we brought in the money element, training, telling them that through making briquettes, through making this enterprise and also developing it in your community, you'll earn a living. We have seen increase in saving. A group which wasn't connected well, which was not organized, we have seen women being organized so that they can earn a living, they can increase on their revenue. And every month, at monthly rate, they are paying 50,000, and this is happening in Gomba district. It is happening in Luwelo district, where we have groups, and these groups are saving, and we are leveraging on the existing structures of CBS Pewosa Cooperative Sindikanjake in Buganda Kingdom. Remember, earlier or previously, we have seen many development work going to the communities, helping the communities. But these people whom you are helping, they don't see the use. And remember, when you are giving out money, you are giving out items. It's like a pit. It's a big pit which will never get filled up. So when you bring an enterprising approach, you'll find in the group of 30 members, for example, in Kakoma Twekembe group in Gomba, you'll find in 30 members, they're making small clusters that for me, 5 of us, we shall take up the briquettes machine. 5 of us, we shall do value addition from cassava. 5 of us, we shall make the porridge. So you find that this group is organized, and then
David, let me just interject here. What you are saying is quite very, very interesting. I mean, the point you are making is that for climate adaptation solutions to be taken up by the community, we need a change of approach. And that change of approach is one in which we make the community to own the solutions. Because if they don't own the solutions, we will only be moving towards a path that we will be driving dependency, not driving self-sufficiency. So continue to explain how you have effectively ensured that at least these communities now own these climate solutions, and from owning these climate solutions, they are using the tools as a business, and the young people are also in the process generating revenue Please elaborate on this.
Actually, I've said on the change, but I also bring in another aspect when I'm explaining this. Let me put this in perspective that we are using a systems approach whereby we are under I Academy, which I talked earlier. They are the ones who are fabricating the machines. But even if we train them to fabricate their machines, they are earning a small money through the fabrication. So when the village saving groups access these machines, we train them. For the training, we can give them freely to train, give them support on marketing and what, but that is knowledge which we give them. But also they are paying on a monthly basis. So to make climate adaptation approaches in society to be sustainable, we need to involve, and that's what we are doing. We are involving mainly the women. We are involving the community, the people, the local community. So starting locally, nationally, until to go globally. But on this aspect, even if these are the people who, after doing this approach, these are the people who don't want free things. They want at least something to come in when they're paying something, they're owning it, and they're seeing the future where it is going. So
that is a very
drive on
very interesting point. And David, let me just come in here, because you are bringing a dimension in which I think our viewers who are watching this show at the moment can be able to understand, because this is not just for climate change. It's actually an approach for development, that we do not do development for people. What we do is we develop models in which people can use those models to close their gaps, but own the process, so that at least the exit approach and strategy can ensure sustainability. And the work that you are doing, and you've mentioned this, you're working on solar dryers, fabricating solar dryers to reduce post-harvest losses. You are working with the communal cooperative of Pewosa to be able to ensure that at least the financing structure linking to the tools are actually in sync. So what I want you to explain here is the adoption of the solar dryers. Before I get to briquettes, what were the difficulties you faced, or how was this received? Because these are not things that communities are used to. They dry their food on the ground. The food get contaminated with soil and with stones and with animal droppings. So how has been the reception of these climate action tools in the community? And from there, I will also find out how has been working through a structure of a kingdom, a governance structure. How has that actually helped? Start with the aspect of community accepting a tool and embracing it. Yes, David.
I'll start with this African proverb that there's no shortcut on the top of a palm tree.
And that's a nice one.
We need to know the reality which is on. When we brought solar dryers to the communities, there actually through our surveys, some of the members had seen these solar dryers on television, that's heard on radio, but the community was ignorant. Some of the community, they were ignorant of the practices. They had heard of the solar dryer, but this innovation had never come to their village. So they had nothing to do apart from accepting. From turning to the traditional way of drying on the rock, on the dry tarpaulins, on the bare ground, straight away to the solar dryer. And actually making through observations and experiments we made on the food which is dried through a solar dryer. And this actually led to enterprising, whereby most of them started saying, I can't eat this food alone. Let me sell it to the community. Let me sell it to the markets. So we started seeing enterprising. So accepting this solution of a solar drying center, they didn't have any option. And since we established it to the communities, and others started coming to us, can you make a smaller solar dryer which is affordable? So the youth through I Academy came in, and since the Bafosa, we let up that to the youth. So we just connect straight to the youth. Hello, connect to this one, you need a solar dryer. Let me talk about also vegetables. This was the issue of vegetables. There were plenty. Right now, we are in the mum season. We are in the rain season in Uganda, but though we have not received enough rains. But when we have rains in Uganda, remember there is a lot of vegetables and these are put at waste. The community can't eat everything. So bringing a solar dryer and telling a rural woman that put these leaves into the trays, after pound it, keep it in the tin, a clean tin, you can consume it after 3 months. It was a game changer. It was nutrition to the family. It was
from what you are saying
to the family. So
yeah, let me just jump in. Let me just jump
solution.
in. Yeah, let me just jump in here, David. I think as you continue, I think Marcel Desailly is saying that practical way out of the money first approach that has disabled progress. That what you're saying, I mean, it's that approach is the best approach that you are leveraging within the framework of the proposal and getting it down to the community so that they own it. So it's not about money, it's about solutions to address challenges. And he also says, again, that turning communities into a market for the solutions they need, so they own it, not expect freebies. This is really very exciting. And what I want to as you continue is you came in with a solution to fill a gap that the communities needed and no one was filling. That then means targeted input to address community challenges are very, very instrumental to ensure sustainability. Is that so?
Yeah, that's the truth. Actually, simple solutions can enable the community to improve productivity, food security, health, and also contributing to all the sustainable development goals. Actually, simple solutions like a solar dryer, simple ideas. Actually, telling a young girl or a woman in the village that do you know that you can eat clean food all year round? Do you know that you can keep your cassava all year round? And without being, remember we are dealing with different value chains for vegetables, cassava, and yet this food is producing plenty. I was still explaining on the Africa, actually mostly Uganda, depending on rain, producing a lot, yet doesn't have market. So solar dryer was a game changer. On the structure, on the leveraging on the existing structure of the kingdom, we saw it very important. When you are taking development, even if you are taking development to a family, to a school, to a community, they have to be organized. When people are organized, we see gender gaps are filled. We see the women are not suffering. The men are also coming up, women are also included, the youth are included because of being organized. So through the structures of the kingdom, we approach the CBS Pewosa cooperative, Sidikanjake, which is one of the best cooperatives in Uganda and also which is financially very good among the community. So we've formed the village saving allowance associations, the groups which are saving with them. That's where we passed development through, and it acted as a car, as a pathway for development. And many people in the community are seeing these are indirect adopters who have come up to see that this works. Through organized groups, women are gaining a lot, and actually women are running to us to join, and we're not refusing. Through the community solar dryers we're establishing, we said that even if you are a village group attached to a cooperative, but we have to let in the women in the community to also dry the food. If you dry well your food and you eat healthy, you have also to enable the neighbor to also be healthy. So this has been good to a community and also adapting to the new technology which is brought to them, but through the structural guidance and also the existing village saving allowance associations, which are saving every day, which are working together, But also such solutions are bringing in the togetherness of the group and also owning it to owning their solution. Even if a Bafosa goes, they will still remain with the innovative volunteerism spirit heart so that they can keep on drying the food, doing enterprising products like the porridge, the snacks from cassava. So
Excellent.
That is it. Back to you, Doctor.
That is it. And Mercedes Aye is asking a question here. He says, do you think that if there were no cooperatives to work with and channel your solutions, do you think you would have made progress in driving uptake of climate actions in Uganda without the cooperatives? What's your take?
Thank you so much, Masai. Remember, Doctor has also talked about models, that models are just brought in order people to do development, maybe to pass there the technology. But remember, in my first statement, I said, I invited myself, I brought my chair to the table to listen to the big boys, to the big men, what they're saying, to provide the solution. Even if cooperatives weren't around, I would have, remember in development, we have actually in innovative volunteerism, we have the coalition of the willing. Even if we have the cooperatives, which I've talked about, there are people who don't want the development. And even if one says, I don't want, you can't stop. You can't say, even if you don't want, let us take up these people, we train them, later you'll join. So even if the cooperatives weren't around, women are still growing their food. They're still facing the same challenges they faced 3 decades ago. We need to improve. We need to see how the sustainable goals are being achieved. So without cooperatives, development would have gone on.
That's true. So the point I'm picking from you is that because there were gaps and those gaps needed input, your solution, the climate action solutions of solar dryers, and we're going to get to briquettes later on, did not suffer any setback because people were ready to find a solution. They were ready for any solution that can address the post-harvest losses that they were facing. And so the cooperatives were an added advantage. But don't you think, let me ask this question. So don't you think that, because you use a word that people were structured, yeah, that and when you go through a structured approach, that most of the times, and I like the way you put it, that in Africa, we need to do things in a structured way, engage communities in a structured way, so that at least they can then be able to pick up the solution. So from your experience, doing work on the ground, leveraging on innovative volunteerism and working to address community challenges, do you think that because of the cooperatives that are actually representing every part of the Buganda kingdom, it became easier to uptake these solutions because at least they were structured and they have a structure that cascades from the kingdom down to the districts? Do you think that using the cooperative system that exists had actually enhanced the uptake of these climate action solutions in a faster way?
Actually, 100%, you are correct. Through the structured cooperatives, this enabled the work to move faster. Remember, even if you are taking development to a family, bringing ideas to a family, they need to come together, cluster them together to know what they are doing, what are they, which enterprise do they want, which challenges are they facing. Through the cooperatives, actually, I mentioned that they enabled our team, I myself, to quicken the development to the people, and also the people to access the climate action solutions of solar dryers, to access the trainings on post-harvest handling, to access trainings on enterprising the agricultural products, for example, like cassava. I see, because we had tried it earlier, finding individual people, 3 people, 4 people, but remember, these people will that we want to remove silos actually. Silos are not good. Working under silos is not good. So working with structured cooperatives, because everyone comes in the cooperative to save, to borrow, to get knowledge, and it's known in the community, to get development ideas, to things on family development, nutrition. So cooperatives enabled me to quicken the development and also decentralize the clean energy solar drying centers to the villages. And I'll also mention something on cooperatives. We see that when you see the gender and value chains through cooperatives, this is where the women can come in, and when they save little money, this is where they can come in and get development. But when they are not attached to any saving group, I see this in the rural area. When one is not attached to any saving group, he can lose a lot of opportunities on markets, on finance, on access to clean energy, access to ideas. So cooperatives enable everything to move in a systems approach. But remember, this
enables, the way you put it, David, let me just come in here. You said cooperative enable everything to move in a system approach. That is quite very, very interesting, because from what you are saying, the lessons coming out of this is that the silo approaches that are dotted across the continent in implementing climate action solutions will not be effective and will not really resonate and get embraced by communities if a structured approach is not used. Now, let's just take a break here, and when we come back, we will discuss how the cooperatives, as well as the communities, have benefited and generated money from these climate action solutions, and how, as a result of that, they're now being able to put food on the table and put more money in more pockets. We'll be right back.
Right now we are training 7 groups. Each group has got to 2 participants who are here.
This training has enabled members to learn some skills. Today we have made porridge, which is cassava porridge. We have mixed a number of flour, which include maize flour, cassava, and other ingredients in order to make this porridge. This porridge is good for babies, for mothers, and also youth who can drink it. It is energizing, and it also makes you healthy in your body. Another training we have had today is the making of bagia, where we are using high quality cassava flour. The cassava flour being used is dried using the solar dryers we gave to these groups, and the Chifampa is one of the group which got the solar dryer in Gomba County. So this is a systems approach whereby farmers are using ecosystem-based adaptation approaches, having given them cassava cuttings of Nalcas 1 from which they planted, and also Chifampa members planted, and other members of Pewosa in Gomba planted. So after EBA, they are drying that cassava using the solar dryer we gave them, and you have seen the drying center, and now they are adding value. The essence of this is to add on savings, to increase on their production of value-added products, and also promoting cassava agro-industrialization in Uganda. Thank you very much, Chifampa, for this, and also Ebafosa for providing these activities. And also we are going to go to other areas in Uganda and also other village saving loans association, so that we can do the same with the CBS Pewosa cooperative in the Buganda Kingdom. Thank you very much. Today we have come to Kakoma Women and Men Group. This is a group located in Gomba district. and it's serving with CBS Pewosa Cooperative. We gave out over 40 acres of cassava cuttings to this region, and this group specifically planted 5 acres of cassava. These 5 acres planted, we trained them on ecosystem-based adaptation approaches. We trained them on how to keep this cassava and also disseminate the cassava cuttings to other members of the group and also other village saving alliance association. Some of the ecosystem-based adaptations trained to the members were intercropping cassava with cowpeas, with beans, with maize. But this group chose cowpeas, whereby this has enabled them to harvest over 100 kilograms from this garden. We made sure that we trained them on how to plant. That if you see what is here, what they planted, this is a plant, and also this is a plant. So the meters 3 by 4, it has enabled this to catch up. If you see the soil here, it's a bit wet, but if you see where this has not happened, it's a bit dry and the soil is dry. So in the 7 to 8 months, the whole garden is going to catch a bit like a small forest.
Yes, that short clip of you showcasing and explaining how the community has benefited, and right down to the farm where the cassava is being planted, is quite very, very interesting, because you are using the structure of cooperatives to do this. And I think this question is for you, that in Uganda, this work by Ecosystem-Based Adaptation for Food Security Assembly, BAFOSA, is a potential model for Africa. Yes, it is, from all what we are seeing, the structures in place. So the question is, what do you think is the biggest ingredient you need to expand these successes being registered? Your take.
What an interesting question from my brother. So I would say they are the youth in Africa. Remember, we want to remove the working silos. We want to work with everyone and also work in the systems approach. When I have the youth on the table, when I have the women on the table, this work will move. Remember, the youth is Africa's powerhouse. The youth is Africa's gold. The youth they are the future leaders. So when I don't have them on board, this work will not move in Africa. And remember, these youth have to work in a systems approach way, so that they become innovative volunteerism actors in the communities where they are located. Each and every community we come from in Africa, be it Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, Cameroon, Togo, even if you go to the districts where everyone is born, we have the challenges we are facing. Be it food insecurity, conflict, climate change, insufficient markets for agricultural commodities, armyworm, many challenges we are facing. But you have to identify only one challenge you see that you can handle, or one problem which you can provide a solution. Even if you don't know anything, but you have a mobile phone, at least you can tell a farmer that tomorrow it's raining. You can use that mobile phone to find climate information news, climate information message, or you can provide ecosystem-based adaptation approaches to the community where you're coming from. So when I have the youth on board, this work will move across Africa, and we shall make one army of innovative volunteerism actors who are providing solutions to their communities, and they are gaining some money in their pocket and also making the community to develop, improve on their livelihoods, and also elevate from poverty and stop ignorance, since they are providing solution and information to the community.
That's very good, David. Thank you very much for that point. The youth are Africa's powerhouse. Yes, the Africa's, I call them Africa's Climate Change Action Army, Africa's Climate Action Army. But let's be realistic here. These youth, they are the biggest constituents of non-state actors in the continent. So it means Africa cannot move without the youth. But let's face it, you started off by saying you avail yourself. You brought yourself to the table. The table did not come to you. You avail yourself. And what did you do when you avail yourself? You were ready for to seize opportunities, not to be given opportunities. And so what I want to ask practically here is that, given these opportunities that you are showcasing, working with other willing youth, why are other youths not seizing these opportunities? Because I am now going to this aspect of no money, no action, which seems to have been ingrained in the minds of not only young people, but in the minds of us Africans, that we cannot do anything without money. Do you think this is a disabler for young people and they're missing out on opportunities because of this mindset? Over to you, David.
Actually, I'll go with this saying that whenever you are implementing work or you are doing any development work in your community and the money comes, everything will, when they hear that money is on the bank account, everyone.
so money divides society.
When money comes on the back, when you started any solution, for example, you have started cleaning wells, streams, providing community with hygiene practices, EB approaches. For example, you're in a small group, a team. When the money comes on the bank account, all the youth will start speaking ill about each other. They'll start thinking of the money. How should I spend this money? They'll start seeing, so money will start disrupting development. But when you start, I've not said that money is bad, money is good, because it drives everything we are doing. But you need to first work. You need to first provide the solution. Remember, we want to remove this saying that everything has to come from Europe, money has to come from Europe, development has to come from Europe. So even sometimes I see these people have neocolonialism actually is existing, because you have to wait for money to come, then you implement a project. When the money goes, everything is down. No continuity, no what. So my take on money spoils ideas. It spoils the momentum of the way the work is moving. And when youth are given money, when they are not organized and they don't have the willing of working, you will not see any development on ground. So we have, through innovative volunteerism, structural guidance and mentorship, we mentor the youth to tell them, before money comes, you have to do this. When it comes, you need to be ready, not get excited. And in the future, it will not come. What will you do? Will you die? And I also say one thing which I've mentioned, the issue of mobile phones. One is in the village, maybe is in Nawankonge village, is in Luuka. He will say, David, what will I do? I don't have money. I have to implement this job. But he has a smartphone. Every day he's on Facebook. He's tweeting. He's Facebooking. He's on WhatsApp. And
I'm blaming government. I'm blaming government for everything, even for the color of the sky.
He's blaming the LOC1 of not constructing a toilet. He's blaming the LOC1 of not cleaning the streams, of not the boreholes. Yet he has a mobile phone. He has people he studied with in Kampala. He has also his relatives elsewhere. But he has refused to know that instead of using applications on a mobile phone, he can use his brain as an application to write on the phone, to write the existing challenges in the community, and what he has done through Bulungi Bwansi, which is innovative volunteerism, to find a solution for his community. Some of the solutions can be actually even having one of the skill of mobilizing youth, mobilizing fellow women that check our streams are breaking down, our boreholes are breaking down, our water system is not good. So what can we do? So I'm giving this to the community in the rural area. What can you do? But you're having a mobile phone. You see the youth are taking up the biggest constituency. People are using mobile phones. You have to use a mobile phone wisely. We have YouTube, where you can pick any idea. You're writing a letter, writing a proposal, writing on Facebook,
So David,
getting a new skill. So
yes, you are bringing up issues that are realistic and they're actually impediment to seizing opportunities. And this is something that have to do with mindset change, because from what you have laid out very eloquently is that there seems to be that appetite for an end product rather than the appetite to be part of the process to achieve the product. And so the default point is that complaining becomes the default, where everybody complains because it's easy and blame someone else except for themselves. And instead of using the gadgets to be able to assess information, to be able to see what can be done to partner with other people, that opportunity is missed all the time. And it looks like no one is telling the young people that, look, there is an opportunity here in challenges called climate change, where if you are able just to learn a skill, you can be tapping into a gold mine. So what do you think? And you've mentioned some elements that money upfront bring fights and nothing works. And that even if money comes, it needs to be exchanged for value, and value needs skills. Value is skills. Value needs time to build a skill, turn talents to skills, and offer value. So my question, before I go to questions that are streaming in here, is what do you think needs to be done to change this mindset that seems to be so ingrained that we can complain our way through to solutions, which is not going to ever happen, as we blame everybody? What do you think could happen for everybody to become passionate, to become part of the solution process, rather than this complaining that drains a lot of energy and seemingly looks like it's not going to go away anytime soon? From your experience on the ground, what do you think needs to happen?
Actually, Doctor, I'd want to tell our dear viewers that when Jesus Christ came to the world, not everyone became a Christian, and not that everyone became a born again. Few people have subscribed. Not everyone has subscribed to Christianity. This is what I will tell the youth, that when development comes, remember the world is running on a terrible speed. We are seeing Tesla, SpaceX, what Elon Musk is doing. The world is running on a terrible speed. I will have this, and I will tell you that coalition of the willing will take everything on in Africa. When you are not willing to take up solutions, when you are not willing to take up development in your village, other people will come up and take that solution to that community. But remember, you are doing a disservice to your people. You are delaying, yet you have the brain, you have the social capital, you have over 400 followers on Facebook and YouTube and on what, but you can't even bring any solution or any idea to your village, but other people will bring those ideas. And even if you don't bring them, they will come. So for us, Coalition of the Willing, as innovative volunteers, we say that we shall work, then you see the results, since you don't want to be part of the process. And in the end, you say that also let me do something for my community. But as youth, remember, everyone was a youth. Even if we see our grandfathers, they were youth, they were young. Years are running on a terrible speed. This year you are 24, next year, by the time you see after 5 years, actually you are no longer youth. According to UN, you are no longer youth. According to this organization, you are no longer youth. According to your country, at 35, you were youth. Now you are remaining with 1 year, and everyone is calling you youth, youth. You have entered 40 years, and you have not
David, let me just come in here because I want to build on that. Youth is not static. Being youthful, because what I'm building on this is that there seems to be some kind of a narrative that has been perfected that the youth is somebody's name. It is not. It's an age group. And we all graduate from that age group because 23 years ago, I was 23 years old. But I'm no longer 23 years today. That means that I've graduated from that youth age group, but I'm still a youth, not because of age, but because of usefulness. So youthfulness should be usefulness. And usefulness is about preferring solutions. So what I think this conversation is setting a different kind of narrative is that if you are useful in providing solutions to address challenges in the community, then you are youthful. Because youthfulness is ideas. Youthfulness is passion. Youthfulness is being energetic, entrepreneurial to come up with solutions. And if we have a population in the continent that is over 60% youthful, then we should be a continent of solutions. We should be a continent of ideas. We should be a continent of passionate people who are willing, and we should never be a continent of complainers. But I want to get your perspective on this aspect. When it comes to devising solutions, guidance is very key because nobody knows everything regardless. And structured guidance, and I use the word structured guidance because it's guidance towards achieving an end goal, an end product that have processes where you need to first of all start by developing passion and then get guided to learn a skill, to develop a solar dryer or to turn waste to briquettes. To what extent do you think that the youth are not willing to take structured guidance and move with it unless there is monetary value attached? And as you rightly said, money is short-lived. It will finish. So it means if you attach yourself to do something only because of money, then it means that there is no sustainability in that. So how do you see the role of structural guidance and how willing are you to take it from your practical experience?
To a larger extent, actually, youth are not willing to take up structural guidance. Actually, I'll give this example. You invite a team of youth to a conference on climate change, climate adaptation. Right now we're using Zoom, but previously it was physical. He will tell you that I need transport to bring myself, to tell me what you are telling me. Then you provide me lunch, and after that you give me some money. I go back, I eat, then I keep that money. I wait for another conference. Then I tell them I need transport and I need money to go back. So,
this sounds like
laughing.
It's like a movie.
I started laughing actually to the youth, and I called them. I told them, "You people." It was some of my friends actually. Later, it was in 2020. I told them, "You people, what you are doing a disservice to yourself. From conference to conference, from meeting to meeting." And from talks to talks,
and from party to party,
and from party to party, and after they go for a weekend and they tell, "I've been to this conference, I've been to this, but they have not walked the talk. They have not walked the conference. They have not done what has been communicated in the conference. Then after they will blame everyone. They'll blame government, they'll blame UN agencies, they'll blame everything. So taking structural guidance by the youth, it has been something lacking. And they see it as something which is not serious. You are using their ideas to get money. Yet I tell them every day, you never do anything new in this world. but you can provide a solution to your community which has not been existing in your village. You can provide a small solar dryer to a community which has never existed in your district or in your family. Remember, a solar dryer is existing in Kampala, in Nairobi, in Kisumu, but taking it to your village where you are born, it's an innovation. You have brought something new which has never been seen, which has never existed. They're going to start drying their food. This has never existed. So I tell them that you are taking ideas. No, you are doing actually the Greeks, the Egyptians, they did everything. They brought modernity, they did what? Everything. But it's a matter of knowing that when I bring this idea to a community, when I bring this solution to a community, what next? What will be the impact? As to show my youthfulness as a person and to be remembered is to leave that legacy in the community. So my take with the youth, and also with so we have and that's where innovative volunteerism spirit comes in, that these are the people whom you have to understand, actually put them aside, tell them that the reality on ground is that you a person, you are created, and you need to provide for yourself, and you need to look for ideas. You have to use the little resources. The world's population is alarming. Everywhere we go is land fragmentation, scarcity of resources, scarcity of finances, be it government, families, UN agencies, funding agencies in the world. They are lacking. They don't have enough resources to give to people. So what will be next? And I predict in the next 50 years, if you don't have an enterprising idea on table, you will not be given even any small fund to you, even any assistance, because they'll tell you that we need.
Yeah, let me come in here. What you are touching on is important, is value. And it goes back to the point, you have value is not given, value is generated. Value, you have to create value yourself. And by creating value, you need effort. So from what you have said, that youth, most of them do not embrace structural guidance unless they see money in it. What I want to ask you is that, given this level of behavior, have you encountered mistrust? How have you and how have you handled it? How have you overcome mistrust? Especially because everything is no money, no work. Nobody wants to retool the skill. Nobody wants to innovatively volunteer to gain a skill, to gain experience, to generate value. So how have you been handling the mistrust that comes as a result of this lack of willingness to engage in creating value to address challenges?
Coalition of the willing. Coalition of the willing. I talked about Jesus Christ. No one, actually, even if we ask our viewers, not everyone subscribes to Christianity. So do your part and others will follow. But why, as a youth, why do you wait that? Why do you wait?
Do your part. Do your part and the others will follow. I like that philosophy, because you are using biblical examples which are quite very aptly put, and then at the same time making the case that if we all sit and complain and pull our arms without anybody taking the lead, even if you are alone, then the challenges will perpetuate and nothing will change. So play your part, learn a skill. Now I have some questions here which are highlighted, and some of them are on Cassava, but I want to play the clip on Cassava and you answer those questions on Cassava. But before that, there is Maxed Desai. Before I go back to the questions that are coming from Alex, and I can see Gakuna and the colleagues here who are, I can see Timothy here, I can see Patrick, I can see a lot of viewers who are providing some inputs here. But let me ask this question before we go for break to come back and answer that question on Cassava. which I will make a comment on it. There is this question that Mercedes he asked. He said, "You never do anything new, but you can provide a solution that has never existed in your context." That is a comment he's providing. But there is a question which he did pose that money is an impediment. He said, but when you look at it from ideas, the story changes. So he's saying, how are you inspiring others to use what they have and generate value, not just looking at money? How are you doing that through this innovative volunteerism work that you're doing?
Thank you so much. Actually, he has been following since you have started this, and I'll go back to this perspective I talked earlier. Through providing trainings, actually these trainings, some of them are online, providing trainings, mentoring them, and the mentorship which I'm talking about is not that you'll win, you'll be a professor, you'll do what? No. The mentorship I'm talking about is that even if you have a diploma, even if you have a certificate, you can provide a solution for the community. Don't look at academic papers that they are the things which will take you higher. I know academic papers are very important, but also we have to balance, you have to know the balance. Don't go so academic, then you leave the skills, then you leave also the soft skills. So you have to balance your life. So through mentorship, trainings, providing them one-on-one, giving them work mentorship, actually sending them to, telling them apply for this, do this. So that's how we have been inspiring them, but also through innovative volunteerism work, bringing them on board, telling them that you can win, motivating them, and informing youth that it's not only money that makes the world, that you succeed, but also simple ideas you are implementing will enable you become a guru or become an important person in your community. And to add on this, that I inform the youth, also the women, actually draw on the youth, but also the women in the village, that become a guru in drying food, become a specialist in mobilizing community, become a good father to your family, become a good citizen. But when you are doing something, any sector, any constituency you are in, you can become a guru, you can succeed. Don't look at others that they have overachieved, but just know they invested a lot in where they are. I see many.
That's a good point, David. You have to invest in yourself to invest in the community, and that is the best legacy that one can leave. You can only be useful when you offer value, and that is success. Because there is some criteria of success that have been tagged that if you don't have a big house, you don't have a big car, you have not succeeded. When you look at the number of lives that people have touched, you don't have any. So that is not success. So success is about touching lives of others, especially of our mothers in the communities. I brought this up and I interjected here because Patrick asked a question. I think you've answered most of them, because he's saying that the learnings you have actually taken along this journey, and how do you intend to activate you to move? So I think you answered most of them on the attitude in which you think that attending meetings and asking for money is the way to go, that you should start using their bundles to then be able to assess opportunities, to learn a trade on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and engage to be part of the coalition of the willing. And also that value is cultivated, and each and every youth need to come on board to learn from those who are already doing it. And one of the things that I want to use this opportunity to say, value is cultivated, it's not given. It needs effort. It needs your time to sacrifice. You have to trek sometimes. You have to read sometimes. You will have to sacrifice and do something even without resources to get value. Once you get that value, you can then exchange it for money. And so why I'm bringing this up is that the attitude that one can just rise up in a day is a false narrative. The attitude that you can just see a solar dryer and say, I want to do that solar dryer. No, there are processes. You need to understand, how was it made? How can I be part of the team that made it so that I can start learning how to do it? It takes time. And I think the false narrative that things will change tomorrow because we have said they will change without any effort put into it is something we need to start debunking. And that takes me to a point that has been made. Before I go to James' point, I want to go to, because it's talking about a cassava disease, which I want us to handle that when I've shown the clip. James, we are going to get back to you, but I want to go to Gakuna, where he says that he agrees, and I want to get your perspective on this. We don't speak politics here, we speak policy. Let me just tell our viewers. So we don't speak politics, but we speak policy. But James has a very good point here. He said, we need to change the perception held by young people against themselves. Port Belay politics have actually left us enshrined as special interest groups. I remain firm to my cause. I think his point that I would take away here is that the complaining attitude has made young people to think that by complaining, the problem will solve themselves as they wait for promises alone. But I want to use this opportunity just to say something before I get your perspective, David. Policy does not implement itself. There are good policies, agricultural policies in every African countries. There are climate change, national determined contribution plans. There are energy policies. There are, like, for example, if you take Uganda, we're speaking from, there is the NDP, which is the National Development Plan 3, that talks about agro-industrialization. Those are already enabling policy. Will they implement themselves? No. They need you as young people to pick certain aspects of it and say, okay, this is what we're doing. As you do that, then you generate data, and then you can now make the case for policies to be put for incentives to give tax breaks for young people who are now developing solar dryers, who are now adding value to what is produced. So I think what he says makes a lot of sense without getting to the nitty-gritty of politics. But we need to then be able to add value to our own selves first by learning a course. So my question to you is, and I think you've answered it, is that given the attitude that is mainstream, that things have to be done, and let me just say this, not all the youth complain, most of them are doing excellent work across the continent, and I am their cheerleader. But for those who complain, listen to this. You cannot complain your way through challenges and expect solutions. Solutions are developed by applying effort to get value that can then be able to be used. So what's your take, David? Before I'll go on break after your take very quickly on this point of perception by youth, and then it still fits into Patrick's point. And how do you use what you have already done and the lessons you have learned to engage youth, and making sure that at least you continue to build a coalition? Let me say, how will you continue to build a coalition of the willing as you do this work? I think that way it's much straightforward.
Actually, you have explained and gone deeper, but the continuity comes after providing value, because actually, before we go even to that is the community just sees that you have provided value, that we have to go, because it's like I would say that it's like a storm. When you are doing well in the community, you're implementing your climate action solutions properly, and everyone is saying is benefiting. You find many people are lifting you. You find many people start sharing with you, coming to your table, asking you this, bringing more ideas. But as they come, remember, not everyone wants development. Many people bring in actually different things, because they will see moving on track and they'll start disrupting you. So you have also to make self-evaluation. That is correct, David.
Yes,
the right person that have to put on board.
Yes, you have to make self-evaluation. There is a question here coming from Mercedes Ayi. He's saying that the training aspect that you mentioned is brilliant, but his question is, do you need to do anything to retain those you train, or is it capture or recapture as we learn in biology? Very interesting. Yeah, because the point is, from what you are explaining and what we've said, yes, coalition of the willing, but sometimes once these young people get the knowledge, they disappear, and you cannot be able. The truth is that you're not training people to stay with you, but they can stay if they want. But the point is, if you train people and they're able to go and establish themselves and their enterprise, it's good to have that traceability so that you can now have also data. These people are trained, this is what they're doing now, and we can follow the impact. But some of them just disappear to the blues. And the question is, how do you handle this? Very briefly, please, because we need to take a break. And when we come back, we will answer the questions on cassava. And please, a quick one on this, 1 minute, then we take a break.
Actually, thank you very much. I want to inform our viewers that data is key for development. And whenever we see development areas, projects, impact, many people are not picking data. They're not picking what is on ground. And this is affecting our GDP, it's affecting our economies, because it's affecting the planning. The planners don't know what to plan in the community. They don't know what to plan next because we are not picking. But on our side, as a innovative volunteerism actor, we have to move with our actors, trace them, because right now, even if I don't have resources, I do telecommunication through many things have come up, like a radio speaker. I can call someone 200 miles. They're having a meeting. I check on them. I ask them, what next? Have you picked this data? What have you done this week? What is your plan this week? I need these photos. I need this. So how are you performing? And whenever I call them, they tell me challenges they are facing. So I try to address the challenges to see them that they are moving. And I provide our contacts available. So the desk is available, call, do what. So we do the retrain and the mentorship I've been talking about, that we have to work back so that we know that these people are following the systems approach.
David, that's good to hear. But have you trained any youth and they have disappeared into thin air and you cannot be able to trace them? Yes or no?
Yes, many. When they have disappeared and you trace them, they start hiding. And when you call that person that check, there's this other opportunity, you give them 3 opportunities too, they disappear and they stop picking the calls. So
can we say that the youth are their own enemies, and that they need to change the mindset of thinking that someone will do something for them, and start to know that they're the one to do something to generate value, and that would it will attract more opportunities to them. We will get to a break now, and then when we are back, we'll discuss cassava. And I'll bring up the aspect where the president of Uganda made a statement about cassava the other day, and we will discuss it alongside the aspects of gems that he has put here. We'll be back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whereby the sun can't penetrate to the soil so that the water can evaporate, and this will enable this cassava garden to look green, and also to reduce on the cost of weeding, because they are going to weed. They have weeded only 2 times and they will not weed anymore. The next time maybe they will just picking a few weeds around in the garden. You have also trained them on how to prune the cassava, because if this cassava, due to the EB approach of using organic manure, the forest has cut earlier, and also the branches are many. So when you reduce on the branches, this enables the roots to remain with the food to eat enough, because the cassava will not feed in this other part. So you have pruned, and it is not time for the canister to catch, also the small forest of the cassava to catch in the garden. So we have trained a number of activities. Remember, this group has a solar dryer. This cassava is going to be dried using the solar dryer.
they have been having a challenge of having enough of cassava. The cassava has not been enough, and since they have their 5 acres, this is going to be a rapid drying using a solar dryer. The cassava they are sourcing is from their individual gardens, and most of the cassava is dried. And also the cassava cuttings, which are going to be got from this garden, they are going to be given out to other members in the group to also plant on their individual farms and also give other village saving allowance association. This is going to be a systems approach, and also the solar dryers, using the solar dryer to dry in order to reduce the post-harvest losses which happen during harvesting until the market pack. We have also looked, if I show you one of the leaves of this cassava, it's very quite good, looking green. We have moved around the garden. We have not seen any signs of brown stroke disease, of cassava mosaic, meaning one of the ecosystem-based adaptation approach trained to these people, the group of Kakoma, was planting quality cassava cuttings which are free from the disease, good, early maturing, and also drought resistant. This place is in nearing a cattle corridor. The sunshine is hot, but you see everything is green due to the EB approaches we have brought to this community.
My name is Sebunya Fred. A member of CBS Peosha Kakoma. As a group, we've managed to plant this cassava plantation, so we are glad that it has shown us enough example of which we were told by the coordinators of Ebafosa. So we managed to plant cowpeas from this garden of cassava, and today we have learned about pruning, and we've pruned our cassava. We are glad that this cassava is of a good variety which is disease free. So we thank Ebafosa.
Work on a small plot of land, enabling him to plant coffee and also cassava. This is one of the ecosystem-based adaptation approaches we told him so that he can conduct, that even if you don't have a bigger piece of land, it is better to make sure that he can use this very well. So having done this as an individual, as one of the team leader, he has inspired other members to also plant their cassava. This is a group of 60 members who are using the solar dryer, but 30 of them are the ones.
Yes, David. This is very, very interesting. And thanks. I think you've answered Alex's question, which he said to Mr. David, how are you dealing with the disease challenge for cassava growing, especially cassava mosaic and others across different landscapes? Please, can you just throw more light on that? I think you answered that in that clip. And then now I will read the statement that the president made on Labor Day, and I will get views on that. Yes, please, to Alex's question.
Actually, thank you so much, Alex, for following. Cassava mosaic disease, cassava brown stroke disease. These are some of the diseases which have affected cassava across Africa. But we have to remember that in 1999, Uganda, actually my country, was affected by cassava mosaic disease, and research by Dr. Otim Napel, by ratings by Mr. Patrick Luganda, they led to the reduction of this disease. So they brought out many organic or many environmental approaches you can use in order to get rid of such diseases. And this can include not mixing many plants, not mixing varieties of cassava in one garden. Remember, you can bring the one which is diseased and this one is not diseased. So if you don't mix them, plant one variety in a farm, you can eradicate mosaic. And also banning existing stems. So when you see that the stems, all the farm is being affected by
Yeah, hello, David. I think David is having some connection issues. And I think as we wait for David to come back, cassava, as we know, is a climate resilient crop. And I think James did indicate here that cassava is one of the crops.
Sourcing for quality.
Yes, welcome back, David. Welcome back. I think there was a disconnection.
Actually, you can do it locally in your community as a person. You find farmers who are you check on them. You check on their cassava stems, how the farm is performing. Then you can come out with good quality cassava and also eradicating such diseases. And also referring this, anything you see like yellowish. You see deformed cassava roots in your garden, you can refer this to extension worker, and also not consuming this cassava and also not making the remainings of the cassava in the garden. You can do it locally or environmentally without spraying with pesticides and chemicals in your garden. But one thing, you have to look on the variety you are planting and also do your research, and you know the varieties which have been put up by the National Agricultural Centers, and also in the community, there are good local varieties which are resistant to these, which are performing well. I can't say they are resistant, but they are performing well. They can stay longer. Back to you, Dr.
Great.
Richard.
Thank you very much, David, for that explanation. I mean, from what you are saying is the ecosystem-based adaptation approaches. Can you hear me? Hello, David. Can you hear me? Hello, David.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, excellent. Yes. What I was saying, I was thanking you for.
Hello, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
I was
doctor.
thanking you for the explanation. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, doctor. Yes. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I was thanking you for the explanation, which is.
Yes, doctor, I can hear you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, David. I can hear you as well. So the explanation shows that at least we can be able to ensure that we leverage environmental solutions, which you have explained, ecosystem-based adaptation approaches, agroforestry technique, intercropping, and by doing that, we reduce, and also the clean stems that Ebaposa has been distributing, the cuttings have actually been quite very helpful. So I think there is a network problem that you are unable to hear me, but I would then put this up. I don't know whether you can hear me, David. I want to put up what James said here. And what James said is, he said that cassava is one of the crops that is resilient to various perturbations, therefore should be embraced by all Ugandans. And on Labor Day, the president said that eat cassava if bread is expensive. And I want to get, and there seems, he said, if there is no bread, eat muwungo. That's cassava. Is that correct? Hello, David. Can you hear me? I think David is having connection issues, and I think once he comes back, we will elaborate on this aspect. But the point is that cassava is a climate resilient crop.
Yes, cassava. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes, are you back? Yes. What I read was that James did put up a comment which said cassava is one of the crops that is resilient to various perturbations. Therefore, it should be embraced by all Ugandans. And what I was expanding on is that cassava is a climate resilient crop. And because it's a climate resilient crop, it means it can survive during harsh weather conditions, whether it is during droughts or during floods. And it needs very little water to be able to perform. And these are practical experiences that we're also driving. And now that there are solar dryers to add value, there shouldn't be any complaint of post-harvest losses when it comes to cassava. And Uganda, where you are, import wheat worth 300 million each and every year. That then means that if cassava was to replace wheat, then it's actually going to generate more money and put more money in the pockets of mothers and young people. So the question, what I'm saying is that on Labor Day, the president said that if there is no bread, eat muwungo. Muwungo is cassava. Is that correct? Are you there, David? I think David is having connection challenges, but I will continue to explain that cassava is a climate resilient crop.
Eat cassava. Eat muwogo. Muwogo.
Correct. Excellent. And he said that it looks to have generated a lot of debate, especially from the young people who are not seeing it through the lens of an opportunity, but who are seeing it as a sort of punishment. So what I want to get your take on this is, what do you think? What is your message to the young people out there who sees this as some form of, they see it as something that they should not embrace because it is not what they are used to? What message can you give them when it comes to cassava, and why should they embrace it and eat it? Hello, David. I think David is having connection challenges. I think what I would do is I will look at the questions that have been put here, and then once he comes back, then we will get back to him. I think he has connection problem with his son, and I think there is this comment from Mercedes Desai that usefulness is usefulness, and that is timely. From Alex, he says age is just a number and it's nothing unless if the holder proves that he or she is matured in terms of responsibility, and what comes out of his or her mouth should demonstrate maturity. I think that is very true, Alex. Being useful is what matters. It's not age. Age is just a number. And being useful and taking personal responsibility to solve problems, which is what I call leadership, is personal responsibility, is what we need today. Then I think Mercedes Desai says that you never do anything new, but you can provide a solution. I think this was David who said it, and then he just summarized it and said this is big, and that is indeed about offering value. And so offering value becomes quite very, very important. And then again, Mercedes is summarizing what David said, that coalition of the willing, which is important, but you have to play a part and others will follow. So that then means, as David did say, and use the biblical example of Jesus, who was preaching Christianity, Christian values. Not a lot of people did follow him, but he went ahead and did what he could do. So it's the same thing. If you start to devise a solution, you're going to get a lot of pushback, but it doesn't mean that you're going to drop that. You continue to do what you can do to solve that problem, because it is value that helps you solve a problem, but it is the product at the end of the process that will then attract people. So you must be able to offer something to the community and show that it works. And when it works, people will flock to it. But when you just start with an idea and start saying, oh, people are not embracing my idea, people will not embrace your idea. That's just the nature of human beings. People will embrace your product. So work hard to get a product that can close a gap in the community. And I think Alex did say collective responsibility. Yes, of course, everybody playing his part. And when all those bits and pieces, those parts are brought together, then a collective force can actually bring impact to scale in the community. And Mercedes Desai said, do both, Doug and David. Cassava is Africa's goal. The biggest producers are in Africa, but Africa seems to play catch up in this area of strength. What ails the continent? Thank you very much, Mercedes Desai, for that question. The reality is that we, as a continent, there seems to be that attitude of always producing what is not consumed in the continent and consuming what is not produced in the continent. So the elitists believe sometimes that what the continent have got is not good enough, is a mindset issue. And I think that needs to continuously get reversed, because when you externalize your economy, when you externalize your economy, David is back. I hope he connects and can be able to get a voice, because it looks like he had voice issue. David, welcome back. Can you hear me? David, welcome back. Can you hear me? I think he still have voice issues, but let me continue to answer the question that Mark said. He asked, what is the continent? Externalizing solutions seems to be the norm, but that's not going to be sustainable under the changing climate and emergencies that are going to be actually at the forefront of many things that we see today. The changing climate is going to bring droughts, it's going to bring floods, hurricanes and cyclones that are going to disrupt supply chain systems. We saw it with COVID, we're seeing it now. So it then means that if countries are not able to add value to what they produce and also look at what they have in abundance, then definitely they're going to have serious issues when it comes to food. Let me use food as an example. If you take wheat, which the prices are going up at the moment, cassava, which can be processed into 300 products, that's an opportunity, and Africa is actually the highest producer of cassava. 300 products, that means cassava bread, cassava flour, cassava beer, cassava, every aspect can actually be tapped from that. And across the entire African continent, we have 500 million Africans who eat cassava. That's a huge market. And now with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, that's a big opportunity to tap into the 3.41 trillion US dollars that this Africa Continental Free Trade Area actually present. So they believe that what is within the continent is not good enough, needs to change. And the only way to change that is to start driving a narrative, a normative that is so powerful, especially by the young people, that look, cassava is nutritious. Cassava is an allergic-free crop. Cassava have a market of over 23.4 billion globally that Africa is not even tapping into it. So the opportunities outweighs the aspects that sometimes are not really thought through deeply. So that is how it is, and I think that is the way to move forward. Still on this aspect, and the question on collective responsibility, it was a comment, but I want to build on that before we run up, and I hope David comes back if his connection is okay. Is that when you were talking about climate preneurship here, and the reality is climate preneurship is not going to be a given. It's about turning climate change challenges into opportunities and not thinking about heavy capital inputs here. We're talking about very simple actions that each and everyone, regardless of what you study, whether you study chemistry, biology, physics, geography, economics, political science, it doesn't matter what you study. What climate preneurship entails here is an attitude of self-belief, an attitude of self-discipline, an attitude of listening, following guidance, to then be able to learn a skill that can help you to turn a challenge in the community, to address a gap that exists in the community, but do so without working against the environment, but working with the environment to prefer those solutions and prefer it in a way. David, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, welcome back. I think your network had some issues, and now you can hear me now. Is that? Hello, David.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, excellent. Yes, before you went, my question to you, before your connection had issues, which is okay, I continued and I explained more about the cassava. What's your take? What can you tell the youth out there the importance of embracing cassava, and that what the president said is what everybody should listen to?
Actually, are you hearing me, Doctor?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Actually, our president, President Museveni, he said that when when bread is expensive, you can eat muogo, which is cassava. Actually, to us, the cassava advocates, we say that it was a good interpreted it in a political way, but an enterprising way as a youth, I embraced it. Remember, cassava has been an orphan crop for the last over 100 years in Africa. So we see that if we develop its value chain from the garden to the farmer, from the garden to processing, to drying, to packing it, again, finding other products which can come out of cassava. Remember, cassava is a raw material to over 300 products, but Uganda has only, but the president has only talked about one only product, to just eat it. So as a youth, we should not eat cassava as it is, but we need to add it value. We need to add value on cassava by making cassava porridge through our cassava, so that we can add on value. Remember, cassava has a low cost. You can find that a kilogram of cassava is like 300 shilling or 1,000 shilling, but due to changing climate and food insecurity in Uganda right now, cassava is expensive because food now is expensive. But remember, if you use a solar dryer, which we have been talking about earlier, dry it well, follow the guided follow our mentorship, how you can dry the cassava, add other food, add soy, add maize. You can get one of the best products on market in your country. And remember, you are providing employment, nutrition to the community, and also getting employment and money in your pocket. The president mentioning that we should eat cassava instead of bread. Remember, we are using wheat. One of the countries which are importing wheat is coming from Russia, Ukraine, Egypt. And when you're using cassava, our product locally, we can provide a substitute. Nigeria is doing this. Nigeria has a policy on how they are using both wheat and cassava. So if Uganda will start doing that, since the president said that eat cassava, we can follow such a statement to bring a good policy in the country, which has not been existing. Actually, the cassava policy has existed. The cassava policy has not been completed for the last over 7 years, mentioning we need a cassava policy, we need a cassava policy.
Great.
But statements can be used in order to get many development experts.
That's a good point, David. That's a good point. If the president is watching now, I hope the president is watching and that the president watch. What could you tell the president? What will you tell the president? What will you tell the president you are doing through Ebafosa Innovative Volunteerism briefly? And that what will you want him to do in terms of policy incentives to facilitate the work that is happening? Please talk to Mr. President, assuming he's watching.
Actually, as Deputy Uganda, one of the innovative volunteerism actor, I tell the president that Ugandans should not only eat cassava, but they should eat added products made by youth in the country, because this will increase employment. It will enable the mothers in the village to earn more money and also save, hence improving their livelihoods. And also other products should be tapped into such a value chain of industrializing them. For example, industrializing cassava. Let me take this. NDP3 is a very good plan for the country, and it's mentioning of agro-industrialization, but it has not come out. It is not a reality. It's not what's happening on ground. So it is high time we implement what we wrote. And
how do you, David, how do you, yes, the president have heard you. And what if the president asks you, assuming he's watching, then he asks you, from the work you are doing, what lessons have you learned that they can leverage to implement NDP3 and make cassava the bread basket for Uganda? Briefly.
The lessons I've learned that the people are yearning for these products, but due to the policies on machinery coming to the on machinery, which is providing value on food, we don't have a policy on cassava. We don't have a policy on imports of wheat. We can see if the policy existing, we can, because a policy is anything, they can write it on paper or it cannot be written. but let us stop the importation or reduce the importation of wheat and use our cassava as one of the substitutes. Then this will enable us provide the mothers in our villages more money, and also the youth who are participating in the value chain to add more money. But also to add, we have cassava is contributing to a raw material on a product called ingule. So it is high time the president comes up to reduce on the taxes of cassava chips, which are going to Uganda breweries, because that's one of the products which is being manufactured inside our country, and the raw material is not coming from Russia or Ukraine. Actually, when they bring the Russia and the Ukraine going that, I can answer that well. Let us develop our cassava beer, which we are having in Uganda breweries, have more it on market. This means that the farmers are going to plant more cassava and they will earn more money, actually.
Yes,
and
David, and from the data that you have gathered, the number of hours that are used to dry cassava now compared to when mothers in communities were drying on the ground, now to the making of baguettes and the chips and cassava fries and all that, there is a lot of data that you have gathered. If you were to tell the president today, the president said, what one thing do you want? I know you've mentioned taxes on chips, but what one thing can the government do, I mean, the president do, or from a policy perspective, which kind of a policy can be put in place that can make this process of value addition very easy and create more jobs for the youth? What would you say? What would you tell the president?
I'll just tell the president that we need hands-on. When we mention of value addition, the machines have to be there. Not just mentioning in conferences or on a Labor Day that do this, this, and this. We need things to be hands-on, and also empowering the artisans who are, when we import these machines, we have also to see how we can empower the artisans inside our country to work on them, to see that they can fabricate them, and also work on this, and also enable us to see that some of the standards can pass through, like the climate action incentive guidance.
Yeah, the market incentive. Yeah, market incentive guide.
Yes. Incentive worked by Bafosa. Such issues will enable the farmer to farm well and also provide a wider market, not only in Uganda, but also in Kenya. And another issue which will come out is that via startup capital, though the products are available, but many youth need guidance from the startup until the product ends. And not everyone will be engaged in agriculture, but everyone can be on the value chain, because a value chain can employ over 100 people, over 200. But agriculture, one person can grow over 10 acres. But in value addition, to add value on the 10 acres of cassava, you need over 50 people. We are talking of marketing, we are talking on branding, we are talking on the people who are printing the labels, packaging, processing.
That's a good point, David. I think, yes, I think you have mentioned some aspects that because we have about 10 minutes to go and we have to run up now, but I think I will have to touch this point that you've touched about. There are no absence of policies and there are no absence of incentive. What is needed is to operationalize those policies. And you mentioned the Uganda Bureau of Standards. There is a standard on cassava and there is a standard on bread. So an integration of cassava into bread that can then be taken up by the Ministry of Agriculture and Trade to make it a policy to add the cassava to bread could be a very good opportunity. And Bafosa Uganda, under your leadership, leveraging innovative volunteerism, have actually developed together with the Uganda Bureau of Standards a market incentive guide to guide how do you produce working with nature, not against nature. How do you add value using climate action solutions? And how do you then connect to markets using information communication technology? And this is helping to lower Uganda's emissions, which is a climate opportunity from the country perspective to lower the emission. At the same time, it's helping create income opportunities, both for mothers in communities and for young people. What I want to bring in now is the structure, the governance structure that has been leveraged in this work, the Buganda Kingdom. What are the lessons you have learned, very briefly, from engaging through a structure like the Buganda Kingdom to demonstrate practically how youth climatepreneurship can actually take center stage. What 3 lessons can you say you have learned that at least someone listening to you from Burkina Faso, from Guinea, from Togo, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Zambia can say, wow, leveraging traditional structures and governance structures is actually the way for Africa to drive youth climatepreneurship and climate action. Over to you, David.
Youth have to be put at a center stage in order to enable development, and also women must also be brought at a center stage, because the structures are enabling women and youth to come on board. And also we have to talk on financial inclusion. Financial inclusion, not giving people money like how some of the government programs are doing, but enabling people access money through structural setting like cooperatives.
I like that part. I like the part that not giving people money, but using existing structures to channel money so that it is accountable and traceable. Continue, David. Very interesting.
Correct. So, even if you are in Yaoundé, even if you are in Nigeria, you are in Wea, you are in Nairobi, Kisumu, we have to know that our governments, actually, this is happening across Africa, of giving youth money for free without tracing it, and it's affecting. So, putting youth at a center stage, women at a center stage, and also the financial inclusion, but putting women first to see that they can develop the value chains, they can lead in many other income-generating activities which are climate action solution-oriented and can reduce emissions to our countries and communities, to see that this can move on in Africa. Remember, we have over 3 challenges we are facing, and this is climate change, conflict, emissions. So we have many we are facing. So if we don't have structural guidance, or if you don't have structures where we can ride on, we can leverage, we can have scattered work which cannot be traced. But through this, we can trace the work we are doing. Previously, we are seeing Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, they are suffering with a drought. But you may find if you don't address these people in this approach, bringing them together through structural guidance, structures, and also cooperatives. So we may find work is uncoordinated, everyone is doing what is doing, and everyone is bringing what is bringing, and not helping the real people on ground. So
that is
Africa.
Those are very good points you have made, David. I mean, what I get from you is the structure of the Buganda Kingdom, which are local governance structures, are very, very instrumental in getting the inputs right down to the communities and to impact women, youth, and more so, also using community structures like communal cooperatives. In this case, PEOSA has been used effectively to reach thousands and hundreds millions of people across Uganda, and that is what should actually be leveraged. If not, traceability, which is very important, of where the final action actually ended up, and accountability of resources on how they were channeled now becomes a problem. So these are very excellent lessons, and I can see these are things that need to be used across Africa in terms of traceability. Local cooperatives becoming very important. We have 6 minutes to run up, but before that, what I want you to stress just a little bit on is this aspect of the cassava. I'll still go back to that, and youth unemployment in Uganda. From the work that you have done, because your work has cut through market incentives, working with Uganda Bureau of Standards and developing a standard with them, and now working on developing a solar dryer standards. These are already enabling environment, enabling environment instruments that are being created. And then you are working with youth, and they're turning agricultural waste into fuel briquettes. And actually, when it comes to pollution across the entire world, is costing the entire world 2.9 trillion every year. And it's costing, that's about 8 billion every day that is getting down the drain. And actually in Africa, Kampala is actually having a very high pollution level. The ambient air there is quite very, very high. Polluted air is high. But the point is, to what extent do you see fuel briquettes which are cheap, which burns longer, and which do not emit? To what extent do you see them being taken up to be part and parcel of the entire Ugandan community, given the fact that charcoal produce indoor pollution that actually results to death in a year, so many of them, and at the same time turning waste to agricultural waste to briquettes? It's a job creating opportunity that can absorb so many youth. What would you say, very briefly, please, in a minute?
Actually, with over 90% of the Ugandans using fuel, wood, and charcoal to cook, we have to see that we need to change this. And this has been done through the structural guidance of innovative volunteerism, UNEP Bafosa, of introducing and also training women, youth on fuel briquettes. And doing this, we have done it through a systems approach, whereby we have introduced youth on fabrication. We have one of our leading youth, Amos Kasenge, who's fabricating the briquettes machines. And from the fabrication, we go to the briquettes making training, and we are inspiring many to join, many through the cooperatives, through the women individual who come individually, but they have never used even briquettes to change the way they are cooking. So as youth, we have done that, and we also encourage others to come on board, to come to us and ask us how we are doing things, how we are.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. I think your network had issues, and you've clearly explained today how, leveraging the structure of innovative volunteerism, you were able to retool your skill, and how, using those skills, you have now started devising, working with young people, with institutions, local governance structures, to be able to deliver climate action solutions of solar dryers and of fuel briquettes to communities, and that we must be able to avail ourselves because your biggest ability is your availability. And that is really excellent. So, David, just 1 minute for your last word, and then we close. What would be your last word to those who are watching today at this particular time? What would you tell them in 1 minute?
We need more innovative volunteerism actors across Africa. And to develop Africa, it has to start with you and me. And when you start from your community, you can start alone, but you will inspire many. Many will copy if you follow the structural guidance, and also if you're a person who wants development. So as youth in Africa, we need to lead development, because we are the future will exist in this world. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, David, for your time and for the wonderful insight that you've provided today. It was a great pleasure having you, and I think the thoughts you provided and the wonderful, innovative ways of how we can turn climate challenges to opportunities will help millions of youth across the continent to learn how to retool their skills, to learn how to create value, to be able to be useful to the communities. And from there, they will create wealth and actually move the continent forward under the changing climate. Thank you very much, David, and I appreciate it. It's Richard Munang, your host.
Thank you.
And please do have a nice day. Bye-bye.